All right, tonight we are going to talk about pride, a leader's greatest problem. So let's dive right into this. There are really two kinds of pride. Number one is good pride. Dignity, respect, honor. We should be proud of doing things right, doing things well. Number two is bad pride, which is conceit, arrogance, independence, doing it all on our own. This is pride or ego, if you want to call it that. When you look at the word pride, notice that the middle letter is I. When you are full of pride on the inside, it makes you stiff, stubborn, and creates strife with others. Envy is the deadly sin of inferiority. Pride is the deadly sin of superiority. Pride is an inordinate amount of self-esteem, conceit, arrogance, or disdain. It's the dark side, if you will, of being in business for yourself. We should be proud of who we are. We should be proud of what we do. We should be proud of what we represent. But we don't want to be proud to a point of arrogance. You know, one of the things I teach people is, man, when you're out prospecting, when you're out building this business, I want you to be confident to the edge of arrogance, but not to the other side of it. We need to come across as humble, but we need to be proud of who we are and what we represent. But we don't want to come across as a better than anybody else type of mentality. Prideful leaders readily contract Superman syndrome and devalue the benefits of teamwork. They rely on their own prowess to solve problems and advance the organization, blinded by their self-centeredness. Arrogant leaders are unable to appreciate the strengths in others. Now, I just want to chat about this for just a second because this is a problem I see a lot. And in network marketing, all the time I come across people that they want to prove something, or they've got to do something, or I've got to be the one that makes this happen. Man, I'll tell you what, if you want to fail in style in this business, and I mean just fall flat on your face, blow it. I have seen amazingly gifted people completely circle and go down the drain in this business because of the arrogance of pride and not recognizing that this is a team sport. Man, I tell people flat out, if you want to prove you all that in a box of cookies, network marketing is not the business to do it in. Network marketing is about teamwork. It is about sharing the load. It is about empowering others. It's about valuing others. It's about putting others first. It's about leading by example, by serving. You want to be king? You want to be queen? You want to be all that in a box of crackers and say, I didn't need anybody else to get here? Go do something else. This is the wrong business for you to be in. This is a team sport. Winning in network marketing on your own power is like thinking that you're going to be a quarterback on the football team, but you're the only player that walks out on the field. If you ain't got somebody to throw the ball to, don't matter how good you can throw if there's nobody to catch the ball. You want to be a leader in this sport? You got to have somebody to catch the ball. You got to have somebody to pass the ball to. In all team sports, it requires a team. And if there's ever been a business that is built around, engineered around, and designed for a team, this is it. You try to make this business work on your own, all you're going to be is tired. You won't be wealthy. You'll just be tired. This is a team sport. So let's talk about how we keep this from going the wrong direction and how we make this a team sport. Well, let's talk about how we don't make it work. Well, number one, pride stops us from building a team. Pride stops us from building a team. We say, well, you know what? I can do this myself, or, I can make this happen. Our pride forces us to try to prove something. And what do we prove? Well, we prove that we're the next failure because we didn't build a team. This is a business about team building. So it's kind of important that we build a team. Pride renders us unteachable. Pride renders us unteachable. Your pride tells you that you know it all. And if you know it all, you don't need to commit to personal growth because you already know it all. And therefore, you're done growing. And when you're done growing, you're done leading. The best you can do is boss. You can't lead. John Maxwell says it best when he says the day you quit learning is the day you should quit leading. Leaders are learners. Pride-filled bosses, that's not leading. That's just telling people what to do. And all of us need personal growth. Folks, if you can tell I'm a little passionate tonight, it's because I am teaching from experience here. Experience from I was the guy with the ego. I was the guy with the pride. I was the guy that was going to do it all, be it all, and just going to set this thing on its ear. And you know what? That didn't work. And it doesn't work. Servant heart leadership requires personal growth. It requires team building, and it requires we build ourselves so that we can serve others. There's always something better to do with your time and money. And since your ego convinces you that you've arrived and have all the answer, who needs personal growth? Who needs book seminars? Because, man, you got it going on. You got the stuff. Man, if you are the person that thinks you've actually arrived somewhere, you're the one that needs the most. What is your budget this year for personal growth? What is your budget for training? Do you have money for a vacation, but you don't have money for a seminar? Do you have money to go do this or that, but you don't have anything set aside to better yourself? I'd ask you where your priorities are. Lead by example. You cannot expect anybody in your organization to invest more in your future than you invest in your future. You know, I don't find any irony at all in the fact that the fastest growing people on my team are the ones that have invested the most in their futures. You know, I'm going to give a shout out right now to Mark and Lynette Mast. These young folks, we love these guys. We love their energy. We love their dedication. They're growing like crazy. They're building an incredible team full of up-and-coming leaders, full of success stories with these products. They are building one of the most prolific teams in the U.S. market for USANA. And one thing I can tell you with certainty is they have invested in their training. They have invested in their personal growth. They are investors through and through. They are not afraid to invest in themselves, invest in their business. They're not afraid to spend the money and spend the time to grow themselves, to grow their business, to grow their team. I've seen them invest in their team, and I got to tell you, I couldn't be more proud of these folks because they understand this principle that if you want to grow, you got to invest. And they all the time are seeking the next level of how to, why to. They are learners and they are leaders. And I could not be more proud of who they've become, who they are, and who they're becoming as world-class leaders and as world-class human beings. These guys are kicking it because they are investors. Leaders who are assured they know everything don't bother about personal growth. Their ego convinces them that they've arrived, and they quit searching for life's lessons in the people and the circumstances around them. Folks, we have opportunities to learn. We have opportunities to grow every day of our lives. Everybody that comes into your life can teach you something. All the circumstances around you can grow you. I'll tell you, 2015 for me has been an incredible learning year, and the learning's not over. There's a lot of year left because there's life lessons all over the place if we're only open to learn and gather information so that we can improve ourselves, so that we can improve others around us. Every person we meet has the potential to teach us something. It's what you learn after you know it all that really counts, says Coach John Wooden. And I'll tell you, that's the truth. When you, in the eyes of your peers, have arrived, that's when the really good learning begins. Proverbs calls it wisdom, understanding. But everything we do can teach us something. Everyone we meet can teach us something. And even after our peers think we've arrived, we discover we've only begun to learn. Number 3, pride closes our mind to feedback. Pride deafens us to the advice or warnings of those around us. I was reading in Proverbs today that, a prudent person, basically to paraphrase this, the prudent see something coming and they get out of the way, where the foolish keep on and get run over. Pride deafens us to the advice and warnings of those around us that could save us a lot of turmoil and a lot of trouble in our life. And pride says, oh, I can make this happen, and you splat, get run over. It takes humility to seek feedback. It really does. This is something that I had to work on and still work on. It takes humility to ask for feedback, because when you ask for it, you're going to get it. And the problem is we like to take it personally instead of taking it for face value. So it takes humility to seek feedback. It takes wisdom to understand feedback, analyze it, and appropriately act on it. Without humility, we care only about one opinion, ours. Honest feedback on your performance is difficult to come by when you're the leader. A lot of people want to tell you what you want to hear, and you need to have your trusted advisors around you that aren't afraid to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So I love this. Ian Harvey, CEO of London-based BTG PLC, he uses this approach. He asked the senior managers on his executive committee to tell him, check this out. This is really cool stuff, folks. He wants his executive committee to tell him 2 things he should stop doing, 2 things he should keep doing, and 2 things he should start doing. Isn't that cool? The people that you trust the most. What are 2 things that I should take off my plate? What are 2 things that I need to keep doing? And what are 2 things that aren't on my plate that I should be doing? That's incredible feedback. Number 4, pride prevents us from admitting mistakes. Pride prevents us from admitting mistakes. We want to always be right, so when we're always right, we can't possibly make a mistake. So what happens is the leader will not say, I blew it. Pride is at the bottom of all great mistakes. This is where pride is a beast. When we screw up, we need to say we screw up. When we make a mistake, we need to own it and learn from it and move through it. And you know what else I'll say? It's okay for your peers to see you make mistakes, because it makes you human, which makes you normal, which makes you fallible. Listen, nobody's a Superman, and it's okay for our team to know that. The Duke of Wellington once haughtily drew himself up to his full height and thundered to one of his staff officers, God knows I have many faults, but being wrong is not one of them. Pride won't allow for failure. The egotistical leader blames mistakes on others, justifies them as inevitable, or refuses to acknowledge them. This is the epitome of a leader victim. It's always somebody else's fault. One of the ways you can tell that a leader is responsible is they own it. They own it even when it's not theirs. They'll pick up the ball and say, okay, I didn't break it, but I'll fix it. Leaders are responsible. Victims, well, they just blame everybody else. So when people fail, they generally respond in one or more of the following ways. They blow up, temper tantrum, they cover up, they speed up, they back up, or they give up. All of these are ways that pride overrun just simply saying, messed up. So the key here, folks, is we're going to mess up. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to say things to people that we wish we hadn't of. We're going to do things that we wish we hadn't of. We're all going to make mistakes. The good Lord came to earth because we needed grace. Because ain't none of us perfect. Ain't none of us even close. If you can walk on water, well, call me up. I tell you what, we had a high tide today. It was like that top, that high from the top of the dock. I mean, supermoon high tide, almost in the backyard. So it's like I could go out and I could walk on the edge of the dock, and it's like my feet were right at water level. But I take one more step, it's down to the bottom, because ain't nobody walking on water except Jesus. So you know what? When you fail, don't waste energy trying to cover up failure. Learn from your failure. Learn and go on to the next challenge. It's okay to fail. If you're not failing, you're not improving. And if you're not improving, you're not trying. You know, I talk to my coaching students all the time. I want to know what didn't work. Because if they didn't have some stuff that didn't work this week, they probably weren't trying. If you go out prospecting and nobody bites, but you learn from every person you talk to, you had a great day of prospecting. But if you go out prospecting and all you get out of it is you come home and say, nobody bought today, well, you just wasted a day. Because every person we talk to is a victory. They say, yes, I'll talk. You win. They say, no, I won't. You evaluate. But everything we do from top to bottom, start to finish, can be improved. And we can learn from our successes, and we can certainly learn from our failures. The most important thing in life is not to capitalize on our gains. Any fool can do that. The really important thing to do is profit from your losses. That requires intelligence and makes the difference between a man of sense and a fool. And it's so true. There is so much value to be gained in what works. You know, I heard something on the radio today. I was listening to Z88.3, which, by the way, is the coolest Christian station in the world. You can get on the internet. It's out of Orlando, Florida, but it's just awesome. I mean, they just do it right. It is just an amazing Christian radio station. Anyway, I was listening to something on there, and they were just talking about that back in the old days, and we're talking like the probably 1860s, there was a man named Mr. Wright, and he was talking about that in 50 years, he believed man would be able to fly. And he was called a heretic and blasphemer because only angels can fly, they told Mr. Wright. And about 50 years later, two men flew, Orville and Wilbur Wright. That's right. The next generation. Isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing? His kids. How did they do it? Learned from a lot of setbacks, a lot of failures, but gained the intelligence to do the impossible. What is it you want to do? Do you think you're going to learn how to do it faster by just attending another class or doing it? Or do you think you're going to learn faster by getting out in the field doing it? You want to become an expert prospector? Get out in the field and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail. I don't care if you have to talk to hundreds or thousands of people to figure out how to win, because once you learn how to win, you win. So go pay the price. Go pay the price. If you think you're going to go out prospecting for a day and you're going to have this thing, you're living in la-la land. You go out and you do it until you get it. and then you own a skill for the rest of your life. Show the plan until you win. Show the product until you win. Because every time you do it, you learn. Afraid of doing any of that? Go out and do it until you're not afraid anymore. Listen, you can only do something so many times before the fear has to melt away, because you prove to yourself over and over and over and over and over again there was nothing to be afraid of in the first place. So if you're afraid of prospecting, go do it until it doesn't scare you anymore. If you're afraid of follow-up calls, make them until you're not afraid anymore, and learn and do and learn and do and learn and do and learn and do and do and do and learn and do, because that's how champions are made. Olympic athletes do not take classes on how to be world-class athletes. They go out and they do it and do it and do it and do it and do it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end until they become world-class athletes. My daughter turned in a perspective project today. That's one of her classes she's taking for animation. She's a freshman. It was one of the best in the class, she says. Spent hours on it. But you know what the difference is? She called us to tell us, I'm going to be home probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. We're like, why 2 o'clock? Because that's what time the lab closes and they're going to kick me out, because the lighting I need for my next project is perfect in the lab. And so she's going to be at school tonight working until they kick her out. And then you know what she's going to do? She's going to come home, get a couple hours sleep, get up and finish it. Why? Because she's learning how to do a skill she's dreamed about since she was a child, and the only way she can learn it at this college is not sitting in the classroom. They sit in the classroom and they learn how to do it, and then you know what they do? They do it and they fail, and everybody in that class was probably the best artist at their high school, and then they come to this school and they're average again. But what's separating them is the ones that are putting in the time to learn from their failures. And you know what? These kids, not just my daughter, but including my daughter, spend hours on a project, turn it in, and the instructor looks at it and says, not good enough, do it again. Well, I have 13 hours in that. Doesn't matter, do it again. My daughter's heard it. Everybody else in the class has heard it. Why? Because they're learning how to do something exceptional. You want to be exceptional? You want the difference between a fool that lives a mediocre life and someone that lives a life of excellence and joy and abundance? It's the person that was willing to pay the price and do whatever it takes to get the skill and knowledge to do the thing they want to do. Any fool can get lucky once in a while and get it right. But if you want this life to pay, you've got to go out and learn from the losses. So every day is a good day as long as you learn. 5, pride keeps us from making changes. Well, I don't need to change. It's always worked. Well, pride will cause leaders to pledge allegiance to the status quo rather than opening themselves up to change, especially if the change alters a system they built. Since leaders have emotional equity in their own work, they will justify living with broken systems rather than changing them. Folks, I have a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I have another saying, if it is broke, get rid of it. I mean, believe me, we have a thing around this house. As soon as something doesn't work, we jettison it. It's out of here. It doesn't work. You know, the little problems we're having tonight, this is the kind of stuff that's going to get fixed when we get everything online and we've got, you know, we're doing things, we've got all the horsepower now to do this thing right. We just got to get all the software loaded up and get it tested. But when something needs changed, we change it. If something is broke, you fix it. Because pride keeps you from making smart decisions. But when you're open-minded as a leader and you realize that maybe you don't have all the answers, or maybe we don't have the best system, we can look and be open-minded for what's better when it comes along, and be open to change when it comes. Number 6, pride encourages poor character choices. Because of arrogance, ignorance, or a little of both, leaders start taking shortcuts that compromise their values. In their conceit, they think they're above the rules or too smart to get caught. Man, where can this better be put right now than Volkswagen? Oh my goodness, I am still dumbfounded that a company of that size and stature, that just recently became the largest automaker in the world, passing Toyota, is now in a spiral because they falsified emissions. They basically used software to cheat and got caught. The CEO is resigned. The stock is in a free fall. Man, I'll bet you could get a heck of a deal at a VW dealership on a diesel car right now. Because of arrogance. Because of compromised values. A company as big as VW could fall because of lack of character. Now, if a company that big can fall because of lack of character, what can happen at a smaller level? Same thing. Failing to recognize the error of pride and change course will doom our leadership. Pride is a fatal character flaw, and leaders that leave legacies have their character intact. Folks, if you don't have character, you don't have anything. And we have to make sure that when that our character is what guides us. It's our true north. Because some people will let pride be their true north. Other people let character be their true north. We have to let character be our true north. Leaders who fail to prune their pride will meet demise. That's not a guess. It's a guarantee. The Bible even speaks and says pride comes before a fall. With pride, it's not a matter of if we will fall, but when. There are no exceptions. Arrogance will create a fall. Number 7, pride hinders us from reaching our potential. For leaders to reach full potential, they must be aware of areas in which they can improve. Unfortunately, pride blocks honest self-assessment and prevents leaders from finding the path to better performance. Folks, we have to be humble enough. We have to have self-discipline and be strong enough to be aware that everything in our life can improve. Everything in our life can grow. And we've got to constantly be seeking the areas to become people of excellence in all areas of our life. So let's talk about the 6 temptations of successful organizations. Many problems in business are caused by ego interfering with judgment. So 6 temptations of successful organizations. Temptation number 1, the leaders of successful organizations stop working on themselves. Folks, pay attention to this. It does not matter if you are in direct sales or you are in car sales or you are the CEO of an automaker. It doesn't matter. The leaders of successful organizations stopping working on themselves, that's a bad deal. That's a temptation. But that's not someplace you want to go. Number 2, the leaders of successful organizations stop thinking big. No matter how big you get, keep thinking bigger. The leaders of successful organizations stop leading from the front. I've been leading the charge long enough. I'm going to go stand at the back and push. If you're not leading from the front of your organization, get out of the way of your organization. Number 4, the leaders of successful organizations stop developing others. The first thing that happens, folks, is we stop developing ourselves. And as soon as we're not fresh anymore, we stop developing others, and the entire organization becomes stale. One of the things that we really work on here on our team at Excellence Performance Coaching is always make sure we're working on ourselves and always make sure that we're working on key players on our team. We always want to be in the self-development and other development business, because if self-development and other development is not a priority in your organization, you are setting yourself up for failure. I'm going to say this again because somebody probably needs to hear this. If you are not in the self-development and other development business, your network marketing business is going to pay the price. And it can't be just one. It can't be just self-development, but I'm not going to work on others. It can't be I'm not going to work on myself, but I'm going to work on others. Folks, you as a leader have to be in the self-development business, and you have to be in the other people development business. If you're not, this business is not going to go and stay where you want it to stay, because this is a business of developing successful organizations within the organization. Number 5, the temptation is the leaders of successful organizations stop holding others accountable. If you want your organization to go, if you want your organization to grow, your organization has to be accountable. If there's no accountability, then there's not going to be maximum growth. The 6th temptation, everyone in the successful organization abandons the basics. Folks, what gets you to leadership, what gets you to the big income levels, what keeps you at the big income levels is the same. Fundamentals, basics. At 2-star, at 10-star, you're doing the same thing you're doing at gold. The basics, the fundamentals. Yeah, there's more that goes with it, but the basics and the fundamentals never stop. Show the product, show the plan, follow up, prospect, present. That's part of the deal. Number 8, pride destroys relationships. The opposite of loving others is not hating them, but rather being self-centered. The point is that each person's pride is in competition with everyone else's pride. It is because I wanted to be the big noise at the party that I am so annoyed at someone else being the big noise. Would it be better to be the big noise at a party? Or would it be better to be the observer at the party, looking for the big noise and going attracting the influencers? Try that on for size. Let someone else be the big noise and you be the influencer. Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more than the next man. It is the comparison that makes you proud, the pleasure of being above the rest. Listen, there's nothing wrong with good, healthy competition. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win. But the best metric for growth, the best metric for building, is where your team is placed, where they're going, what they're accomplishing. Pride is just you want to be the best. Proud is when your team is the best. Let me say that again. Pride is when you have to be the best. Proud is when your team shows up and is the best. I want others to win. You want others to win. True pleasure is seeing your team succeed. The celebration principle, the true test of relationship is not how loyal we are when friends fail, but how thrilled we are when they succeed. That's one of the things that Tammy and I love more than anything about this business, is the celebration principle. It's being loyal while they're learning, while they're growing, while we're investing in them. But it's the thrill of seeing them get the new car, buy the new home, fire the boss, promote their leaders, walk across stage again and again. How thrilled are you when your team wins? It should be your greatest joy and celebration. One of the things Tammy and I learned when we went gold, that was so exciting. But the first time we promoted a gold, that was thrilling. Nothing more contagious than creating success for others. Number 9, pride distorts your perspective on reality. It's like the beaver told the rabbit as they stared up the immense wall of the Hoover Dam, "No, I didn't actually build it myself, but it was based on an idea of mine." I love that. I'll put this up on the screen because this is pretty interesting. The name Enron has become a household word. It's even been altered from a noun to a verb, as some people use it to describe a personal scam. I got Enroned. The fallen corporate giant certainly speaks to the issue of pride, but this piece is about a major stockholder known for his arrogance. Although he lost billions, he still has money to spare as he is a third-generation heir to the family fortune. Concerning this man's pride, one consultant described him like this: "He is a man who was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple." It's hard to find a better description of pride. Man, isn't that the truth? Constantly viewing life through a lens of selfish ambition colors a leader's outlook. Many problems in business are caused by the ego. Interfering with judgment, choices that should be clear to the leader become clouded by an obsession with self-advancement. Listen, we all want to climb the ladder. We all want to go up in rank. We all want to make more money, hopefully. But hopefully we want to do it by bettering others, by creating team, by spreading it around. Not because of foolish pride. So, a lot of awareness here. How do we correct the pride problem? Because you know what? This may not be a problem you have, but maybe it's someone on your team has. But I think to some extent we all can grow in this area. This was a huge challenge for me and still something that we work on. Recognize that your pride and the problem, recognize your pride and the problem with it. Do something about it. If you want to influence others in your workplace, you must act in a way that others can embrace both you and your ideas. Buy-in. So 1, recognize your pride. The first step is to realize that one is proud. At least nothing, whatever can be done before it. If you think you're not conceited, you are very conceited indeed, says C.S. Lewis. Number 2, we got to admit our pride. Benjamin Franklin said, "There is perhaps not one of our natural passions so hard to subdue as pride. Beat it down, stifle it, mortify it as much as one pleases. It is still alive. Even if I could conceive that I had completely overcome it, I should probably be proud of my humility." 3, express your gratitude. A proud man is seldom a grateful man, for he never thinks he gets as much as he deserves. And Oprah says, keep a grateful journal. Don't concentrate on what you don't have. And that is so true. Folks, if you want to really beat pride, embrace gratitude. When you wake up in the morning, thank God for another day. And then reflect on the many things that you enjoy, the many things that you have. I mean, listen, a lot of you, I know we've got some folks that watch us around the world, but if you live here in the United States or Canada, you're among the wealthiest in the world just by occupying a space in these countries. So much to be grateful for. Number 4, say your prayers. Lord, when I am wrong, make me willing to change. And when I am right, make me easy to live with. Power of prayer. Number 5, practice serving others. You want to beat pride? Serve. The high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than rule. Leadership isn't about being a ruler. Leadership is about serving others and helping them live a good life. Number 6, learn to laugh at yourself. Don't take life too seriously. Blessed are they that laugh at themselves. They shall never cease to be entertained. Folks, my dad taught me a couple things, and that one was don't sweat the small stuff, and number 2, it's all small stuff. We need to learn to laugh at ourselves. If I were to be given the opportunity to present a gift to the next generation, it would be the ability for each individual to learn to laugh at himself. Charles Schulz. Folks, don't take it too serious. This journey is fun. This life is great. Take it with a grain of salt. Laugh at yourself. We will be remembered for the value that we have added to others, not the value we have added to ourselves. This business that we're in is so incredible because it gives us an opportunity to work on ourselves so that we can work on others. It's an opportunity to grow ourselves so that we can grow others. It's an opportunity to invest in ourselves so that we can invest in others. And when you understand the power of investing in people, you learn how great the rewards can truly be. Because you will be remembered not for what you did for yourself, not for what you got for yourself, not what you created for yourself, but what you helped other people get and achieve and become. The dreams you made come true for others. The value for us comes in that if you help enough other people get what they want, you will get everything you want and more. The servant heart mentality truly is the fastest path to happiness and success. Pride's a lie. Pride's a shortcut to nowhere. Servant heart leadership will take you anywhere you want to go. So thank you for coming tonight to Pride, a leader's greatest problem. I hope you enjoyed the training tonight, and I hope that you can share this with somebody else. Because if you want your team to grow fast, let's grow together. Let's grow as a team. Let's create value for each other. And we can all go to the top. Till next time, I'm your host, Tony Dom. Have a great week, and God bless.